But first this morning, as the coronation countdown continues, there are signs that Prince Harry's popularity in the US could be under threat. Well, Ross joins me now. Hi, Ross. Interesting, isn't it? It's because they always thought that was their haven. But what is actually going on? Because you're there.
Because I'm here, yeah. To be straightforward about it all, yes, I think Harry's popularity here has waned a bit, but as indeed with just about everything nowadays, there's very, very mixed feelings about it all. The support is mixed. You know, you've got a lot of expats here who are very loyal to the royals, so they feel hard done by there. Meghan certainly still has support from a lot of younger girls here in the States. Harry, I would say, has dipped a little bit, but I was actually up in Montecito at the weekend, and in Lucky's, one of the restaurants where they've been a couple of times as well. And what was interesting, Lorraine, wasn't it interesting to hear what Russell has to say, but some people, they couldn't care, and that's Montecito, which is where, you know, they're based. So there's a lot of Americans now going, yeah, and a little bit like you and I have said before, you know, like the book, okay, right, are we over it now? Can we move on? Can we move on? But I think what is interesting, again, is to keep that currency going. They do, in many respects, have to have that royal connection. Obviously, they'll always have a royal connection, but just how much of it? So I think that's part of the currency thing. But, you know, even with the entertainment shows here as well, you definitely can see that the level of interest has definitely dipped.
Yeah, well, of course, it was huge, wasn't it, when the book was out? Ross, thank you for now. We're going to be talking to you later, obviously, about the coronation and the big guests that have been lined up for that, big A-listers. Royal editor Russell Myers, as Ross said, is also here. It's interesting that, isn't it? Because Ross has always said that about the sort of currency, because they have to keep relevant, because they've got all of these massive contracts. They've got to have content, haven't they? You know, Netflix are not going to be interested in them feeding the chickens.
Yeah, I think what Ross was alluding to is very, very tribal, isn't it? And I think we've seen that played out over the last couple of years. It's either you love them or you hate them. And it's very rarely that people are indifferent. And perhaps sort of with this new era that we are moving into that new stage, that people have felt that they've heard quite a lot of them. They're maybe sick and tired of the sort of infighting and the scandal that has plagued the royal family over the last couple of years. So I think what will be a good thing for Harry and Meghan to do is probably dial down the tone a little bit of what has been happening, and then and maybe both sides will benefit from that.
I would like to think so, and it's interesting because there is such a lot of drama surrounding them, and it was very interesting at the weekend that Camilla's friends, you know, she's got this sort of group of pals that she's always had, and they're not called ladies in waiting now, they're called something else.
Companions, lady companions.
Lady companions. And they're usually, they're oysters, you can't get anything out of them, but they're talking about her now.
They are, and a really fascinating profile in the Sunday Times at the weekend about Camilla, Queen Camilla, as she will now be known in just a few days, and talking about how hurt she was by sort of Harry's barbs. And if you remember, he had said that she was the villain in the piece, talking about her being a dangerous individual, also saying that she had sacrificed him on her PR altar. I mean, these are pretty serious claims and allegations put in her way. But one of these lady companions, Lady Lansdowne, was pretty much saying, listen, it wasn't necessarily a stamping the feet, more like an eye roll. So if looks could kill, I suppose, from Camilla.
But she's kind of just gets on with it.
That's I think so.
She's just going to do that.
We've spoken before, haven't we? The last 20 years especially, it has been a PR masterclass, really, from Camilla. But she's got on with the business of the job in hand. Sure. And I think that's why she's in the position she is today.
It's still going to be awkward, though, isn't it? I mean, I know that Harry and his dad, the king, have had a chat, presumably just, I wouldn't imagine Zoomy, I don't know, but maybe on the phone?
Yeah, no, I don't think Charles is a big Zoomer.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, this is, as I said, a few days away. We're less than 3 weeks away now from the coronation. And some of these plans had been really held up because Harry was, you know, stalling on his decision. Well, now we know that he is coming. And he kind of wanted assurances. Where would he be seated? I mean, obviously not under a pillar or behind a pillar in the gods. However, what sort of reaction would he have from the rest of the family? Sure. Now, the family haven't really got the time to get involved in this, but I think it's quite telling that the king had a conversation with him. Yeah. He wants him to be there. He's still his son. He still loves both his sons. That was always the mood music from the palace, that he still loves both of his sons equally. And if this is a chance for reconciliation, I'm not sure. I think
it's going to bounce in and bounce out.
I think
isn't it?
so.
So
I
there
think
won't be time.
we won't see him at the sort of balcony. We won't see him at the procession. Very much like Andrew, and I don't like putting them both in the sort of same categories.
Indeed not.
But there is these issues that the issues of the family that do need to be sorted. And listen, the King's probably got more important things on his plate.
I would think so.
Yeah.
You mentioned Andrew. There's a new documentary
There
about
is.
him, isn't there? Going back to that infamous interview.
Yeah, and quite controversially, it's coming out on the day of the coronation, May the 6th, on Saturday evening on Channel 4. Emily Maitlis, who did that fantastic interview for BBC Newsnight, is going to be interviewed herself and talking about the sort of transition, how they formulated the idea. Sam McAllister, the producer, who ended up writing a book, now turned into a Netflix series, is going to be interviewed as well. So very, very fascinating behind the scenes. And taking you from sort of Andrew's life as a pampered prince, then a war hero, and then ultimately his fall from grace.
No, that's true. And I still can't believe, because when Sam came in and talked to us about it, and she said after the interview, they were all going, well done, sir. And he thought it was fine. I mean, you're like, what
and we were
planet do
hearing
these
this
people live on?
right after the interview, and they were sort of patting each other on the back. I mean, when you look back on it, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
It really is. Talking about him, his ex-wife, Fergie, of course, she's not had an invite.
No, she hasn't. I mean,
I'm quite surprised about that. I mean, if you're going to let Andrew come,
I mean,
because she knows, she's been part of their lives.
Well,
for
she
such a long
has.
time.
She's been on this sort of sort of junkets, hasn't she? With her new book coming out, she's been all over the world speaking about this this new novel that she's written. And she said, listen, she didn't think she would be invited. She's going to have a bit of tea and cake with some friends at home. However, she was invited to some of the Christmas celebrations. She would think that she's going to be invited to some of the after-party celebrations, if you will, after the coronation. But, I mean, for Fergie to come back into the family is quite a transition, because she'd been exiled from by Prince Philip.
Oh, yeah, you didn't like
And, of course, now that he is sadly no longer with us, she has this sort of new role within the family.
Right.
And she's been speaking quite candidly about her conversations with the Queen, saying that it was her duty to protect Andrew. And, again, that's pretty punchy to come out and say it. But... listen, I'm sure we'll see Fergie pop up somewhere in the weekend.
She will, absolutely. And there's lots more details coming out about the day itself. We're going to be talking to Ross about the big stars that are going to be there as well. And, yeah, there's loads more to say in the... 3 weeks now?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
The countdown is on, very much so.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you so much.